Hello, everyone. This is Dawn Marie Alexander, your Uncommon Voice coach and consultant, and I hope that everyone is having a great day. Well, today is Life is Only a Decision, and today we're going to talk about leadership. I think I was preparing for this segment and I was doing my research about leadership because it's one of the topics that I feel is really needed today, both in our personal lives and in our business worlds. And I was thinking, I was looking up the information and finding out, well, what are people concerned about with leadership today? And why is it so hard to find good leaders? And why do we see the top 20 things, the top 10 things of struggles with leadership, or the challenges with leadership? And I was dialing it back and looking at that and thinking, why? Why does it need to be so hard? And when I look at the landscape of everything and what it takes to be a good leader, or when you're in leadership or being led by others, and one of the things that I'm noticing is that it just feels like there's a lack of buy-in. And some of these are parallel to each other. A lot of it can be done all at one time, but it's a lack of cohesiveness. It's an old way, and as one of my former leaders would say, it's an old bear way of looking at things. It used to be a time where the head of a company, the leader, they knew everything. That was the one you had to go to. They were a leader because they came up through the ranks. They understood the job. They understood what needed to be done and how it needed to be done. There was a credibility there amongst that person who was a leader. And then there wasn't as much transparency that was going on behind the scenes, when we really didn't have computers the way we have them. So you people couldn't find information out about leaders and the company and so forth. But now we do. And so we see disparities. We see things that are unfair. We see a lack of integrity. We see that businesses and their vision statement and their mission statement is not congruent with how they treat their employees. And yet we talked about that last week. What does it mean to be in alignment? And we need to talk about that in a business also. A business, in order to create good leaders and then to have people follow those leaders, there needs to be proper alignment within the organization. And what do I mean by that? Because there's an internal customer and there is an external customer. But if you don't treat your internal customers well, they're going to feel like, well, what we're selling or what we're presenting isn't valid. They're not going to have a buy-in. So what does that mean? What is the vision of the company for your internal customer, meaning your employees? And if you're an employee, what is that? What does that look like? Can you go into your company and say, yeah, they're in alignment here, or I know I can trust there. I mean, I see the vision for how they treat us. And we usually get all these great corporate, what would you call them, phrases or mission statements, but that when you feel it, there's a breakdown. It feels as though there's a breakdown in there. And I know that some groups these days feel like entrepreneurs or business owners should not make the amount of money that they do. And I don't think anybody would have an issue with what they made if there felt to be some compensation for those who are working for them. For example, those that are we see companies and CEOs getting millions of dollars in bonuses, and their employees can barely put gas in their car, or their employees can barely eat, or they can't afford the insurance. We know that the expenses is for everybody, but who feels it more? And yes, I do believe that entrepreneur, that business owner should be able to make the money that they need to make, but it should not be on the backs of their employees, because now people know, they can see it, they can feel it, and it does feel some kind of way. And that in turn creates what? Disloyalty. It creates a lack of morale, which we see. And how does that leader align with that? How does that leader resolve that issue when they're maybe just the leader or the manager or the boss or the supervisor? How do they navigate that? So here's what I would like to think about, that maybe we need to do a paradigm shift, and we could talk about finances at a different day. But what would happen if people had buy-in? One of the areas that they found that was a struggle or a challenge was communication, morale, and emotional intelligence. Well, that's almost another conversation right there. But the communication, the frustration with people and time. See, here's what happens when people feel like they're just a worker bee. Going back to those old ways where you're just coming here to do a job. You were trained to be a sheet metalist, you were trained to be this, and therefore you really don't have an opinion because some of the people maybe been low, not as highly educated as others, and therefore you had some disparities there. But now, just because you're not a leader doesn't mean that you're not just as smart, just as capable, and then fill in the blank, right? You still have that ability. So I think what people want to do, they want to create a collectivism, or us against them. And in this society, in this season of entrepreneurship, or just in business alone, that is not the proper way. You want to build cohesiveness, a synergy. You want to build community, a value with your employees that are there and with the leadership, because we can't do it without the leadership, and the leadership can't do it without those that work for them. And without creating this antagonistic kind of environment over so many areas, we really want to look at, well, what can we do? What can we do to resolve the problem? What can we do to bring a more synergistic community within the organization? And here's the thing, it's going to be twofold. It's not just the responsibility of the employer, it's also the responsibility of the employee. There needs to be a love for what we do. And sometimes that's difficult. Sometimes we're just there to get a check. That's it. I'm not crazy about the job. If I could find something else, I would be there. And that may be legitimate, but then how do we make that work for us? While you're here, what can you bring? What's your goodness? What's your goal? And when I say goal, I mean GOLD. What is the goal? I remember a friend of mine said, what is the superpower that you bring to the organization? And that's what we have to get to. Some organizations may have this, some organizations may not. But the goal is GOAL, is to bring out the goal in people so that they have a stake in the game, that when their name goes on it, that they should feel good. And that is a responsibility for them to do. And that should be the bar that the employer and the leader are looking for. And they want the best of the best, but they're going to be known and heard and accepted for their ideas, for their ability, for what they bring to the table. And that might be something as simple as, little Sally Susie is really good at organizing, so we're going to put her in charge of this. And here's the whole plan. And sometimes people may not want that. Employees may not want that level of involvement. But I think that if we meet people where they are, and provide for them, okay, you know what, little Sally Susie, you're here because you just need a job, okay? But while you're here for these 8 hours a day, how can we help make it? So here's the job. Here's what we need to get done. Here's the goal. What do you bring to the table to help make this project or this job be efficient, or whatever it may be? And then how does that make you feel? So that you walk out of the job at the end of the day feeling fulfilled and not frustrated and aggravated, and why do I need to be here? So getting that buy-in, not just moving beyond worker bees, but moving towards building community and getting people involved. But everybody has something of value to offer. Whether they're funny, they make people feel good, they're really good at bringing morale, they get good at getting people excited. Maybe somebody else knows a policy really, really well. How do we elevate them and encourage them and empower them where they are? But then the worker bee has the employee has a responsibility also to say, hey, you know what, I'm here. What is the goal? What is the purpose from which I hear, and what do I'm here, and what do I have to bring to the table? It goes both ways. And then the vision of what is the vision that we're working towards for this company? Maybe the vision is for the internal customer is to have, purple penguins on Friday, and everybody to have be healthy and exercise Tuesday through Friday. Okay, then how does that align with time and scheduling? How is the company going to now allow that to be implemented when they have, work that needs to be done? What are they going to do to say, here's how we want to treat our employees? Here's how we want them to feel. That is our mission for them. But then our mission as a business is to provide this to our customers, whatever this is. But people should be bought into that. And it's an employer's responsibility to say, well, how do we do that? By hiring people, or hopefully looking for people who are going to have that buy in. So that buy in is this: the buy-in from both employer and employee, and moving beyond the worker bee. I'm just here to do my job. That's it. But that's great. That's wonderful. But then how do we allow the leadership, or create good leadership? And that is by knowing the people, and knowing that even if you're just coming here to do a job, what's that place of excellence that we're going to do that job? Okay, you're here to do just, you know what, Dawn Marie, you just want to come and do the job. Great. Here's the standard on getting that job done. And then because of that, let there be a reward attached to that, possibly. So the goal isn't being a good leader, is being able to understand or create a plan, create a vision for the employee. What is our goal? How do we want them to feel? Do we want them to have a good reputation when they leave us at the end of the day, and they tell their friends and family about us? Or do we want them to walk out the door and just be disgruntled? Because when you do that, what happens? Your attrition is high, and we don't want that. We don't want high attrition. And then communication, making sure that everybody has all the information that they need. And then those that feel like, you know what, that doesn't have anything to do with me, there should be a responsibility that you are involved in what goes on in the communication that's being presented. It's no longer, well, that's not my job and that's not. No, we all, again, going back to that buy-in, need to be bought in and have that level of communication. Nobody's, going to be a taskmaster over you, though it may feel like it, but we all have to take responsibility for the job that we do, and for the goal of the business, and be bought in to the success of that. And then people need to be able to be celebrated. That was me that went in, so they can feel as though if they were a part of something and their name is going on it. Too often leaders take credit. So and one of the other challenges was lack of trust. I don't trust you, I don't know what you're going to do, or I did all the work and you know nothing, and you took all the credit. No, it needs to be a community effort where people come together to do what? To have a buy-in. Number one, take responsibility on both sides of the fence, the employee and the employer, and a responsibility to the vision, a responsibility to the end goal. The end goal is making plastic cars. Then we want to make it to everybody's going to do it excellent. And they're going to bring their individual uniqueness to that space. And then lastly, emotional intelligence. I'm finding that, nowadays people it's special. People are hurt, they are struggling, they want it to be about me, and we need to leave some of that at the door. Your me is the excellence that you bring to the organization. That's the only me that there is you're bringing your gold, your GOLD, to the organization for success. And you should feel good about what you bring. Like I was saying to one of my supervisors in my other life, in another job that I do, I said, I just want to be good at what I do. I want my name, I want my work to go before me, and I want to be excellent at it. I want it to be trustworthy. That if I'm asked a question, I can look at something and I'm going to know. And if I don't know, I can ask and not just go, well, you know what, it'll be okay. No, no, no. I want everybody should take a pride in their work and excellence. And emotional intelligence is part of that. Unfortunately, people are these days, it seems, not all, not lumping everybody into the same boat, are what? It's all about me. It's me, it's my, it's I. It's whatever. I don't care. And I no, it doesn't. It's the bigger picture. And we need to create an environment that allows us to be emotionally responsible for what we need to take care of on the job. If somebody doesn't like you, can you still get your job done? Sometimes you don't need to speak to somebody. If somebody doesn't say good morning to you, oh well. If you don't always get the credit and it's not a major, then keep pushing, keep moving. But too often people allow their emotions to just drive them. And we have to remember, why are we here? We are here to accomplish the goal. But I believe, again, on the leader side, on the organization head side, because the organization is only as good as its leadership, only as communicative as its leadership. So if they're not responsive to the people with respect and honor and acknowledging ideas, it can be a challenge. So I'm going to leave you with this. Many years ago, I was working with this one organization, and I have not seen an organization do this to this degree since this other company. Okay. So what they did was once a year, the CE, that not the CEOs, but the heads of the corporate division of every division. So tech, finance, so it was tech, so all computers, finance, core, or the sales team, the curriculum. It was a couple of other departments. It was about 5 or 6 of them, and we knew that they were coming down, and we all could sign up for a spot. I think it was a 3 minute or a 5 minute spot to get before them and present our idea. So if there was a challenge, we were having in the company, on the system, a process, whatever it was, we could go before them and pitch what we wanted to say. Okay. And then they gave a reward. So the person that had the best, they was like a $500 reward. And then it trickled down like 3 prizes. But all of the decision makers were right there. They were right there. And I remember I don't remember what I spoke about, but I remember delivering my pitch because of an issue that I was having. And I'm like, why is this going on? And they were at the table going, is this true? Or how do we fix that? And what do we do? And I'm like, yeah, that works. They were able to find out. They valued our opinion and they rewarded us for that opinion. And then we would go back later on and have other small groups to determine, well, how can we resolve this issue? That was exciting. You felt like, okay, I'm here at work, I'm doing my best, but guess what? They value my thought. They value what I think. They value my opinion as an employee, and they are rewarding us for it. So, what if we had more of that? Do you think it might be easier to lead people? Do you think if everyone was taking responsibility for their own emotions, for their own job, and it not be just a worker bee, I'm just going to be here. But if leadership also cared, and in that caring, they had the authority to bring some resolution to maybe some discomfort or disgruntledness among their employees. So I hope this has encouraged you. If you're a business owner, an entrepreneur, and you're like, oh my God, I just can't get these people. Or maybe you're thinking, well, my leaders, they don't listen. I have opinion and they don't want to pay attention. Maybe this might be something that will encourage you to maybe speak up and bring some ideas and say, hey, this is what I'm noticing. And maybe if you're a leader, you can step back and say, well, how can I build community amongst those that work underneath me who are doing the task, so to speak, or that I am managing or assisting or as leadership over them as their point person, however your organization does it. Because here's the thing, we always want to keep communication open and transparent. And we want to remember that just because someone doesn't have a title of leader does not mean that they are not capable of leadership. Spending time getting to know them, what they know, what's happening on the floor, will go a long way into building community within your organization. So I hope this helps you. I hope this encourages you. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Remember, this is life. It's only a decision. So the decision you make today will determine your future tomorrow. I hope you guys have a great day. Bye-bye.